Now, I know recently we have done a lot of videos talking about the new officer, Terrain Tactician. Now, she obviously is a artillery and ATG specific main, but a lot of people have reached out to me asking about whether or not it will work on a helicopter, because upon going through all of her skills, 3 out of the 5 are actually available to work on any unit. So the first one obviously does 2000 coefficient, and then the armor thickness obviously also changes this, meaning you get an extra 120. And then obviously we have the normal attack boost of 30%, which is great for tanks. We also then have an armor piercing damage, which is pen damage, which is also an extra 50%. And then obviously the damage resist does not count. We also have the load time reduction of 10% and the damage intensity of 15%. That also works on tanks as well. But then, of course, the awakened skill, which is very, very good, also doesn't work. So, is she any good? Let's quickly go into some testing. Now, we're just going to start off, guys. We are literally doing the same unit versus the same unit, okay? This is MB versus MB. It has the exact same officers, right? Just so we can kind of get an understanding of the skills here. Obviously, it does go down to, you know, who attacks first. We know this, right? But is it going to make a huge difference when putting that tactician on? Because if the results are very similar, then yes, she would work. But if you see a massive dip in that productivity right there, you're not going to notice it the same. So we're going to put on the exact same thing, and we're going to do the exact same attack twice. And then on the third attack, we'll basically come through and, you know, test out whether or not it is worth using. So of course we're just going to quickly retrain this. Let me get the speed buff on and I'll be right back with you. So here it is, guys. We're going to do the second test. Again, we're basically doing the exact same officers. We are starting this time with the other account, just to show you that obviously the account that starts on these is the account that wins 99% of the time. Obviously this one does seem like it is actually coming through as a little bit more equal, but you can tell that the skill shot actually ends up going off first on the tank that attacks. And I'm really impressed here that somehow the account that started did lose, which is a first for me. I am genuinely pretty confused about that one. But with that being said, guys, as I mentioned, we are going to be going through doing loads of testing here, and we're going to get back to the bottom of whether or not that new officer is any good, or if it is basically just one of those things where it has some nice skills on there, but it's nothing impressive. So we're going to have the exact same officers on the unit for the one tank. Nothing is going to change there. But on our tank now, guys, we're going to first off switch out Havoc, and then we'll also switch out Shadow. So let's chuck on her and see if we are going to see any difference whatsoever. So coming in here, we are, as I mentioned, going to do the same attack again. Boom. Let's see if we notice a huge difference. I honestly think that it's not going to work. I don't think it's strong enough, because you're losing out on, you know, the skill shot. You're losing out on, you know, everything in general that's going to be giving you that just little bit of an extra oomph. But I am proven wrong. Now, again, we do need to do this attack twice, guys, because when starting on the other, it might be slightly different. So, of course, we're going to do the exact same thing twice, one from each side. So we're going to put that unit back on there. We're going to bring this unit back out. Now over here, obviously we are already training these. We are going to chuck the same officers back on, which again for this account it is still Lady Justice with Madam Havoc. Nothing is changing over here. We are using the exact same units, exact same officers, just to make sure that everything is fine. So here we go. Let's move this back here. What one was it? It's this one here. Let's get that out. Yep, there it is. So we're now going to start from the other side and notice if there's any difference. Now, before, when we started on the other account, somehow this account still won the fight, which I'm not sure how that happened. But as you can see here, honestly, this new tactician works. Guys, I'm actually really impressed. I'm really impressed with, like, obviously, I do feel like, I don't know, man. It's one of those, I do feel like, obviously, I really don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed. I did think that, you know, sure, it's 3 out of 5 skills, including losing out on the awakened skill. And normally the awakened skill is what really sets these things apart. You know, that's what normally really sets them apart. But even now, it does seem to me that it's really, really working. Now, another thing I really want to test, right, is going to be the helicopter, because obviously penetration happens really well on a heli. Are we going to notice a huge difference there? So we are going to do the exact same setup here. I do feel like I should be testing with, say, Haymaker or something, because Haymaker does belong on the heli, but we are just going to test with these same two officers. So again, I assume it's going to be a walk in the park for the helicopter in this situation, because the helicopter does, at the moment, really do well against MBs. Obviously, it did have a bit of an update. But again, yeah, that was a clear, easy win. Not even close. But of course, we do need to then redo that test where the MB is starting the fight. And we are going to do that. So let's quickly jump on in here and do the exact same thing again, but starting from the other account. So we'll move this out. And as soon as this is trained, we'll be able to jump on out there and get the MB to start. Obviously, the heli is just healing right now. And I'll be right back with you in a second. Okay, so here we are, guys. We are actually going to pull this one back and get a different MB, because it does look like to me, for some reason, that MB was injured, hadn't fully finished healing. So we have got a fresh MB here. So let's quickly start now the attack. Again, this is the MB starting the fight. I do assume it's still going to absolutely get rinsed, because obviously he's going against the helicopter. Yeah, in general, guys, wow, that is really crazy. It doesn't even survive the 2 skill shots, which I generally thought it probably would survive the 2 skill shots, but I guess not. So the next one we are going to do here, guys, is we're going to go straight back in this time once the heli is obviously re-healed and stuff. But we are going to try and replace Madam Havoc here for the new Tactician. I'm really excited to see how this will go. I think due to the penetration, it will still perform really, really well, but we shall see. Okay, so now we are here with Tactician. Again, I do feel like we are going to potentially see a difference, as in it might not kill as quick, and obviously the protection is a lot less now, so therefore you're really noticing that heli taking a lot more damage, because it is completely missing out on a lot more protection. But definitely can see the difference there. That yes, although she does still kill, but you know, she's designed to kill it. The helicopter is designed to beat the MB. In general, guys, I do think after doing this testing, obviously I wanted to make sure, because I had a lot of people asking me about whether or not she would work on a heli, and the answer is technically yes, she works on tanks in general, because she does have quite a few decent skills on there. But the main thing is going to be the fact that I still don't think that it's anything special in my eyes. I think that, you know, although it is, you know, definitely decent, I don't think it's anything crazy. Now, is the main thing that we're going to look into now is, for example, a lot of people might say to me, well, what about in a defense? Let's just say, you know, I have this officer, but I don't have an ATG. Is it worth putting on a heli during a defense against, say, a super heavy, because a super heavy has more HP? We're going to do one final test here, and we're going to see how long it takes roughly for a helicopter with the normal setup, which will obviously be with, say, Lady Shadow and Havoc. Again, we might have other options available for the heli, don't get me wrong. I'm just going for like a generic, very often seen combination on tanks in general, not helicopter specific, but in tanks in general, that is normally used out in the field. And we're just going to keep going with that for now, and just to see how well it does against a super heavy. So obviously for the super heavy, I'm just going to have, again, your standard officers on there. I'm going to be putting on Dawn Anthem with Iron, because that is pretty much the most common free-to-play option for that. And we are going to literally just see how fast it takes to kill with this setup, and then whether or not it's going to be any better with that other officer on there, because as we know, the heli does lose a lot of protection. And I do think that that's something we're going to see here in this test, is that the heli, I still think the heli will beat the super heavy in both instances, but one thing I think we'll see a difference is in how many helis we lose in the other ones. So first of all, as I said, this is going to be interesting to see. I think the heli does obviously have a lot of penetration power. The super heavy doesn't pretty much have any offensive capabilities, except for it's just normal attack every now and then, so you will lose a couple of helicopters along the way. But in general, I still think that it is not worth getting Tactician if you are a helicopter main. It's just not worth it, guys. You know, you're awakening an officer that isn't at its full potential. That's the main problem. It's not at its full potential, and that is where, you know, it's going to, I don't want to use the words mess up, but it's going to waste statues. You know, you'd be better off just taking a skill off of her. If you're a tank main, taking a skill off of her, and that skill in general, I personally think will be, let's have a look here. Where is she? I think she's all the way at the bottom. The skill in particular is definitely going to be this one here, the normal attack boost with the armor penetration damage. Now, this here is a must if you are a tank main. Although, yes, this other skill here and this other skill here are nice to have as well. Losing out on both the defense and losing out on the extra coefficient damage there, it does make a big difference. And obviously, if this was a versatile officer, 100% would be absolutely amazing and worth every second of it. But again, I just don't see there being in any way, shape, or form a need to get this officer as a whole if you are planning on using, you know, on a helicopter. So yeah, it would work, just not that well, my personal opinion. Let's just do the one last attack with the super heavy and the heli, and we'll see the difference there. So here we are, guys. We're going to be doing the final attack here and see how much the difference is. Stacking up all of that normal damage and the pen damage could really actually make a difference here with the super heavy. But I still am going to be pretty firm on saying I don't think it's worth it. But it is working. It's proving to be decent. But overall, guys, I'm still going to stick with my gun saying I don't think, you know, 100%. It's just not worth getting if you're not a main. There are obviously other officers out there. But 100%, this has proved to me that it works. I think, though, the main thing about it is going to be that one skill. That one skill is what's really pushing this over the edge. Because if we think about it, load time reduction 10%, damage intensity 15%, that's a good skill. It's a nice skill, but it's pretty on par with most skills on most officers, right? This is pretty decent, you know, 2000 coefficient, yes. The armor thickness of 120 makes a difference. But even then, even when fighting a super heavy, at most you're getting, you know, an extra 5 out of this, which is 600. You know, nothing overpowered. It is pretty much on par with what these Gen 5s are offering right now. This here is what's making a big difference. 30% normal attack is great. It's normally a skill on its own. But then to have 50% pen as well for when you do pen, to get that 50% extra buff damage, that's just as nice. And the fact it's all on one skill is pretty strong. So I think that this is what is excelling this officer to be, you know, that little bit extra, in my personal opinion, especially when it comes to tanks. So what do you think, guys? Are you a tank main, and will you be getting an RT officer for your tank? I hope not. I hope you do spend your statues in a more sensible way and you just grab that one skill. But let me know down in the comments if that's something you're going to do. As always, I appreciate you all for tuning in, guys. I hope this helped you make a judgment guess on whether or not it's something you should be getting. But if you are a Howie main and you have an ATG, get this officer. I appreciate and love you all, guys. Hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.